What is going on, good people of YouTube? I'm ImJslay. Thank you so much for joining me, and wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day. Today we're playing some Madden 21, but before we get into it, if you enjoy the content, leave a like rating, and if you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on to stay updated with all of my uploads. If you missed our previous video, I'll leave a link in the description of this video for you to go check it out, but in it, I open 100 Get a Player packs. We discuss what to do with those player items and whether or not it can make you coins. So for today's video, we are going to be discussing a portion of the new Autumn Blast promo that just launched in Madden 21. This is similar to the Madden Harvest promo that we've come to know in previous Madden iterations. And we're going to specifically be looking at the Burnt Turkey challenges and what you can get, what rewards you can get from doing these challenges. Now, real quick before we get into some of the rewards, the players that I like, the players that I feel like you should be looking at adding to your team, let's go through some of the challenges here so you can just kind of take a look at what you're getting into. These are relatively easy challenges. I've already completed 4, as you can see. The first one we'll click on here. All you have to do is gain 25 plus yards to get the 4 stars. I'm sorry, to get the 3 stars. And then if you wanted to go for the extra star, you just have to rush for 15 plus yards. Very, very simple. I mean, it took me maybe 20 to 30 seconds to do, if that. The next one here, score a touchdown on this drive, and then for the additional star, score a touchdown in 5 plays. Got the touchdown in the first play. So, I mean, very simple. So you can take a look, get an idea of... These are pretty simple challenges. I've seen some people on Reddit, on Twitter, that were able to complete not just these, but the other part of this promos challenges all in one day. So they're not full games. You know, this does say win the game here, and the bonus is to score a passing touchdown for that 4th star, but you're starting with the ball in overtime, so it's really just score a touchdown, and then you've completed that requirement, right? So they're very similar. We can't take a look at some of the other ones until we do the challenge ahead of it. So it's not one where you can skip around. You are going to need to do them in consecutive order here. I'm on this one right now. Literally, as I was eating my dinner, I did this. It took me 5 minutes. I mean, no time at all to get through just the first 4. This one, score passing touchdown this drive. Don't throw an incomplete pass. Actually, I think I've already done this one. No, I did this one, and then I got kicked off the servers, so it didn't count, which is great. So I got to do that one again. But I would have been on this one right here, which we unfortunately can't take a look at. But nonetheless, let's come now and let's take a look at the milestones. So once you earn 10 stars, you're going to be getting 10 fallen leaves. This is the currency, similar to the bats, similar to the footballs for the ultimate kickoffs. Ultimate kickoff promo. These are the currency that you're going to use in the store if you wanted to buy other items relative to this promo, right? So 10 fallen leaves for tier 1, 10 for tier 2, 10 for tier 3, 10 for tier 4, 10 for tier 5, 10 for tier 6. And once we get to tier 7 is what we're going to be discussing today. That is the Nat 91 overall Autumn All-Star. I believe it's 6 players you can pick from the player, and these players may get an upgrade based on their performance on Thanksgiving Day. So we're going to go into that here in a second. But then coming on down, you can see, though, once you get to tier 8 and tier 9, you're getting more leaves. 50, 100, 200, all the way down, you get 200. I believe you can get a total of 700 doing these challenges and the Autumn Odyssey challenges. We're not going to get into this one here too much today, but these are very simple challenges to do, and you can pick from one of the 4 players here: Fletcher Cox, Brandon Scherf, Patrick Peterson, or Allen Robinson. Spoiler, you want to either go with Patrick Peterson or Brandon Scherf because the other 2 really aren't even usable. I mean, Fletcher Cox is decent at best, but it's actually a lot better if you wanted to slide a power rushing or a run-stopping defensive end down to play D-tackle because of the way the abilities and the points work and whatnot for some of the good abilities, but that's neither here nor there, right? So, but they're pretty simple challenges to do nonetheless. If you do all of them and get all the stars, I believe you can get a total of 700 fallen leaves, and you can take that over to the store and buy things in the store with it, right? I'm not going to get into that too much. What we are going to get into, though, is the players, right? Is going to be the 6 players that you could potentially, well, you can only get 1, right? But we're going to look at all 6, right? So we're not going to look at all 6. I don't know why they're not showing up. Maybe they will here. They're not. They're not going to. Maybe right here. Right here? Right here. Hey, there they are. Okay, cool. So these are the 6 players. This is good. I don't have to go to the auction house and just kind of go over each one of them that way. I can show you all 6 here. This is actually the thumbnail, so you've already seen them, right? So you've got Desean Watson, Hollywood Brown, Desmond Trufant, Kendall Fuller, Jalen Smith, and Eric Ebron. Pretty solid core, right? I mean, just at first glance, looking at these cards, it's like, I mean, the players are cool. Hollywood Brown's fast. Kendall Fuller's a solid safety. Trufant, depending on what team you're rocking with, may be able to help you out at corner. People have been clamoring for Desean Watson. I don't think the improvising and the scrambling quarterback archetypes are necessarily the way to go this year. You know, I think the strong arm quarterbacks back to more of a pocket passing style is kind of the best way to go at this point in the Madden life cycle. But Desean Watson is a solid option at quarterback, so a good option there. Linebackers are completely useless right now, so Jalen Smith, while probably a good player, probably don't want to go with him unless maybe you're running a Cowboys theme team, and even then I would consider going elsewhere, right? And then Eric Ebron, a solid option at tight end that's going to give you the ability to get tight end apprentice on a free card, which is pretty solid, right? So, and the cool thing about these cards is they could potentially go up to a 93 overall based on their performance in the Thanksgiving Day games. Okay, so now that we've gone over the program, some of the challenges, brought you the players, which of these players do you want to add to your team, right? Well, I've narrowed it down to 3. These were 3 that I was going back and forth on who I wanted to add to my team. All 3 could bring value, no doubt. And all 6 of these players, well, really, let's say all 5 of them, depending on where your team is at, you know, I'm in at 90 overall, I should be able to make use of any one of these players minus Jalen Smith, right? So, but I've narrowed it down to 3. I've narrowed it down to Eric Ebron, Kendall Fuller, and Marquis Brown. Now, to kind of narrow it down even further, I'm going to go through each one of these players, compare them to some of the other players at their respective positions. We're going to find out just which one that we need to go with, and obviously this is all team-based, right? If I've got the best free safety in the game, Ronnie Lott, I don't need Kendall Fuller. I mean, that's just common sense, right? If I have Vernon Davis at tight end, I most definitely don't need Eric Ebron, right? That just makes the most sense. Hollywood Brown, if I'm stacked at receiver, I don't need to take him. So it's going to be team-based, right? So take that advice, the advice that I'm going to be giving you, take that, apply it to your team, but apply it to your team in a smart manner, right? Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead. We're going to start off with Eric Ebron. Okay, so on the screen here, we've got some of the best tight ends in the game. We're going to be comparing them to Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron obviously on the left, Vernon Davis to his immediate right, Antonio Gates next to Vernon Davis, Darren Waller next to Antonio Gates, and then Tony Gonzalez on the far right-hand side of the screen. So we're going to be taking a look at all of these tight ends, their stats, and how they kind of stack up with each other. And then that's going to allow us to better decide of whether or not we need to consider going with a free card in Eric Ebron. Okay, so starting with the top metric, we've got speed. Now, comparing Eric Ebron to the other tight ends, you can see obviously he's besting Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez, and while he comes slightly under Vernon Davis and Darren Waller, it's not a huge difference. At 87 speed, you want to put him on, the Steelers team. He does not have a power-up, so you're not going to be able to get those other chemistries that he would get, Lions and Colts, I believe. But nonetheless, you put him on a Steelers theme team, he's got up to 88 speed. You want to put Sprinter or Brawler on him. I believe he could potentially get up to 90 speed, depending on what tier you're at there. So speed-wise, he's definitely going to hold his own. Now let's come on down to another important stat, obviously for tight ends, is going to be catching, right? He's got 89 catching, which where that stacks up, it does appear that Antonio Gates, Darren Waller, and Tony Gonzalez are your top tier when it comes to catching. Eric Ebron's only at 89, right? So he's not too far behind them. You want to put some offensive chemistries on him. He's going to get that catching up over that 90 threshold. So very solid there. He's got good acceleration, not going to hurt you too much in there. So overall, looking at these base stats right here, Eric Ebron's a pretty solid option. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at some of the most important attributes for tight ends, that's going to be short, medium, and then deep route running with an emphasis on short and medium route running. A tight end is not necessarily going to be running deep routes very often, and if he is, it's going to be clearing out for some other receivers. So when you see an 85 deep route running for Eric Ebron, don't really get too shied away from that, even though as you can see where it stacks up with some of the other tight ends in the game. I mean, he's right there at him, right? Vernon Davis obviously being the best, but Eric Ebron tied for second there with Antonio Gates, so not really losing a lot there. Let's take a look at his short and medium route running. These can be increased with different offensive chemistries, so keep that in mind. But he's got 88 short route running and 87 medium route running. A lot of people are running that Vernon Davis tight end, who's only coming in at 86 and 84 short and medium route running respectively. So when you consider that, I'd say that just looking at this card altogether, man, I'd say it's well worth a look. He does fall underneath Antonio Gates, Darren Waller, and Tony Gonzalez in those categories. However, when you take into account that you can get him up over those thresholds by simply putting some offensive chemistries on him, this is a solid card. The last attribute I want to take a look at is release down there, and you can see it's at an 88. He's bested only by Antonio Gates and Darren Waller, who have an 89 and 90 respectively. This card, I tell you what, if you want to rock Eric Ebron, he is going to get tight end apprentice. He has the archetype that is going to allow him to unlock that at that third ability slot, which he will get. I'm very positive with that. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I believe he is going to get tight end apprentice. You can put him on that. That's going to give him those hot routes that most tight ends aren't going to be able to get, right? The quarterback can put him on post routes, corner routes, to where you can't do that with regular offenses, right? So this card, I would definitely consider it if you need a tight end, if you don't want to go spend a lot of money, a lot of coins rather, for a Darren Waller, for a Vernon Davis. Eric Ebron could be the guy. Okay, the next card we're going to be taking a look at is Marquis Hollywood Brown from the Baltimore Ravens. Now, in my opinion, the best receiver in the game right now, it's a toss-up between either Terry McLaurin and Julio Jones. When you just take a look at their entire list of attributes, right? But comparing Hollywood Brown to those two, and also DK Metcalf and Stephon Diggs, similar to Eric Ebron, this is a solid card for free. And keep in mind, these cards could potentially, based on their performance, go up in value, go up in overalls, from a 91 all the way up to a 93. If Hollywood Brown, I believe, gets 60 receiving yards and 1 touchdown, he's going to go up to that 93 overall. That could mean a speed increase. That could mean route running increases. So keep that in mind. But dude's got 93 speed, and I know a lot of people are running those Ravens theme teams. Marquise Brown does not have a power-up right now, but once he does, he will eventually get one. I'm pretty sure of that. You're going to be able to get him up without even any brawler or sprinter to 95 speed. Now, he would get 94 speed on a Ravens theme team, but not even taking that into account, right? I use DK Metcalf on my team. This is the powered-up version of DK. He's at 94 with no chemistries or anything like that, right? So Hollywood Brown is falling right behind him, so you're not losing a whole lot with that. Good catching at 89. Good acceleration at 93. I mean, that's pretty awesome. You'll see here in a second his release is not very good, so he is going to be lacking in that department there. But when you really compare him with the other receivers in this class here, I mean, he's pretty solid, and it's a free card. So if you're looking to add a receiver to your team and you don't want to spend $200K on Terry McLaurin or $300K on Julio Jones, this is definitely one to consider. Let's take a look at some of the other stats here. Okay, so once again, the most important attributes for a receiver, similar to tight end outside of speed, is going to be his route running and his release, right? So as far as route running goes, dude is right there at some of the thresholds. Already meeting that deep route running threshold at 90, besting DK Metcalf in all route running metrics. You can see he is only besting Julio in the deep route running, and the other 3 receivers are besting him in all of the other attributes there. But you put some chemistries on him, some offensive chemistries, to get that short and medium route running up over that 90 threshold. This is a solid receiver. Like I said, he is lacking severely in the release department. So if you do happen to run someone who's still running bench press and they want to put him on Hollywood Brown, if Brown happens to be your best receiver, he's not going to fare very well against those cornerbacks, guys that have high press, your Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, Antonio Cromartie, guys like that, he's going to struggle. He's also very short as well, so he's not really going to be able to contest too many catches in that route. But you want to put him in the slot. You want to move him around, motion him around, use him as your slot receiver and trips tight end or gun bunch. Very, very solid option for this Marquise Brown card. I would strongly consider adding this to your team if you do need a wide receiver, because some of the good, solid wide receiver options are pretty high in price. Okay, so finally we're going to be discussing Kendall Fuller, free safety of the Washington football team. Now, you might be asking yourself, if Kendall Fuller is a free safety, why do I have Deion Sanders, L'Jarius Sneed, and Tracy Porter up here that I'm comparing to? Well, quite simply put, the way the meta is for defense right now, you want those corners at your safeties positions, if at all possible, and you have your safeties, with the exception of the free safeties, unless it's Ronnie Lott, you've got your safeties kicked down in playing linebacker, right? So you're going to have a Deion Sanders, a L'Jarius Sneed, a potentially Tracy Porter playing safety for you in your defense. And if you're not doing that, then you're doing it wrong. I got to be honest with you. But Kendall Fuller here is actually a safety that I wouldn't recommend sliding down to play linebacker. I would keep him exactly where he is at free safety. Let's take a look at these stats, right? So no powered up, or this is fully powered up. All of these items are fully powered up, as you can see. L'Jarius Sneed is going to be the cheapest one of all of these. Deion is pretty expensive. Tracy Porter is moderately expensive. And Micah Hyde is pretty expensive as well. Micah Hyde I would probably consider only running on, say, maybe a Bills theme team, given the other options that you would have at free safety. Bills or a Packers or a Bears theme team. I believe he's played on all those teams. Maybe not the Bears. But nonetheless, that's not what we're talking about here. Kendall Fuller's got 92 speed, powered up fully, right? So pretty solid there when you consider at free safety. He has good acceleration, right? Coming in at 93 there, besting everybody, and he's tied with Deion and Tracy Porter. So very, very solid there. He's got good change of direction at 91, so he meets that threshold there. Not that you're going to be really usering Kendall Fuller, so the change of direction may not necessarily come into play as far as a user goes, but that 91, that's pretty solid. Now let's take a look at some of his defensive attributes that are going to help him in coverage. Okay, so this right here is actually what sealed the deal for me when it comes to who I'm picking. I'm going to be taking Kendall Fuller. I have a little bit of a hole at free safety. I could go ahead and spin the coins to get Micah Hyde since I am rocking a half and half Bills and Chargers theme team. But he's $200K, and that's not even having his items powered up, so I would need the training for that. Now, granted, I would still need the same amount of training to power Kendall Fuller up, so we are comparing apples to apples there, but this is a free card here, and I don't have a hole at receiver. I don't have a hole at tight end, and the other items, Desmond Trufant, Jalen Smith, Desean Watson, don't really fit what I'm looking to run, right? So going through these stats, I want you to keep in mind red is actually a good thing here because Kendall Fuller is the one that we're actually comparing to. He bests Deion Sanders in every single thing on there, including press. And Deion Sanders is a cornerback, so this is why you want to actually put Deion Sanders at safety because his press stat is very, very weak. He's equaling him with 91 zone. If you get tier 7 lockdown, I believe that 91 is going to go up all the way to a 95. He also has pretty solid man coverage coming in at 93 as well. If you did want to use him at linebacker, I wouldn't have a problem with it, right? Because as a linebacker, occasionally you're going to be in man coverage on running backs and tight ends, right? Some of those routes are just easier to stop by cross manning. At 93 man coverage, I mean, that's pretty solid. He's got good block shed. As you can see, his block shed is defeating everybody else that's on there. So when you talk about kicking him down to linebacker, a 66 block shed is not very good, so I wouldn't necessarily really recommend doing it. But at the safety position, I mean, that's going to hold up nicely. 81 tackle is only bested by Micah Hyde. This is a solid card. 91 play rec. I mean, as you can see, Micah Hyde is a solid card when it comes to coverage stats. He just lacks a little bit in the speed department, which is, like I said, why I would recommend running him on a Bills or a Chargers theme team. His coverage stats, though, I mean, dude has 94. This is why I would get Micah Hyde if I didn't want, if I had the coins to spend. 94, I mean, that could get all the way up to 98, possibly even 99, depending on what overalls you've got at other positions. If you could get them to, say maybe tier 2 lockdown or tier 3 lockdown, right? So, or lockdown times 2 or lockdown times 3. But I mean, this Kendall Fuller card is solid. This is the one that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be putting him in the lineup. And just remember, I'll say this one once again. This card could go up to a 93 overall, in which case, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be unlike EA to not raise the stats, to not raise the attributes if they go up to a 93 overall. But you got to think he's going to at least get a +1 speed, and he's going to at least get +1 in some of these other coverage stats that are really going to help take this card be maybe not the best free safety in the game, but I'd say top 3, and there's no argument for that at all. This Kendall Fuller is the card I'm going to be adding to my team. Okay, so all in all, these challenges that are going to yield you a 91 overall player that could potentially go to a 93 overall player are definitely challenges that I recommend do. It's only going to take you, I mean, less than an hour, I would assume, judging from the few challenges I've done so far. And you can get some impact players to your team. If you need a receiver, Hollywood Brown is definitely a player I would look to add. If you need a free safety, I have a hole at free safety. Eric Weddle, his speed was okay as we're going through the life cycle of Madden. It's not quite there where I'd like it to be. That's going to get solved with Kendall Fuller like that, and you saw the guy's attributes. His coverage stats don't lie. He's got good tackling, good block shedding for a safety. I mean, dude could be, like I said, top 3 safety in the game. That's who I'm going to be adding. If you got a hole at free safety, that's who I would say add as well. And then Eric Ebron. If you have been wanting to run a different offense that utilizes a tight end apprentice, but you haven't wanted to spend the coins on a Darren Waller, on a Vernon Davis, Eric Ebron would be someone I would definitely recommend. I know I've said he gets tight end apprentice, and I cannot confirm that. I'm pretty sure he is going to get that tier 3 ability slot due to his archetype, which would allow him to get that. But don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he's going to, right? So, and the other cards, Desmond Trufant at corner, he's solid. He does have solid press, so I would definitely recommend keeping him at corner. If you run a Falcons, if you run a Lions theme team, you may want to add him because you would get him up to that 90 speed, because I believe his base card is only an 88 speed. But I wouldn't necessarily say that he's in the top half of these players here. Desean Watson, once again, I think the strong arm quarterbacks, the ones that are going to have Hot Route Master, Conductor, those are going to be the ones to go with this year. I'm actually going to have a video that I'll be talking about some of the best abilities in the game coming out soon. And Roaming Deadeye, Dashing Deadeye, Escape Artist, it's not going to be on there, right? Just a spoiler alert there. But if you want to go with Desean Watson, I mean, this does look like a pretty solid card. I still think the strong arm quarterbacks, the ones that are going to get Hot Route Master, Conductor, those are the better ones to go with right now. The Gunslinger quarterbacks, those are the ones that I'm using on my team. Jalen Smith, we're not even going to talk about him. He's not useful. The reason he's not useful is EA does not want to give linebackers the ability to jump, which obviously most people are going to be using linebackers, and you need to jump to intercept passes. They just don't have that ability for whatever reason. So if they do want to make a patch that's going to update the linebackers, then yes, this Jalen Smith may eventually be useful. Right now, he's just not, and I would not recommend getting him unless maybe you're running a Cowboys theme team and you just can't stay away from Cowboys players. Maybe go with him then, right? So I like this program. I think it's good. I especially like it because the challenges are pretty quick. So I'd say go ahead and jump on those, and hopefully you're going to get a card that does end up going to 93 overall. I hope Kendall Fuller meets his requirements and gets up to that 93 overall, because that'd be pretty awesome. But nonetheless, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, leave a like rating. If I wasn't clear on something, if you have a comment relating to the video, or if you just want to say what's up, man, leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I love interacting with each and every one of you down there. And if you'd like to see more content, hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on to stay updated with all of my uploads. I'm ImJslay. I'm signing out today. I'll catch you all on my next video.